Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to drop your name in the chat, tell us where you're from. And once we're going to give everybody just a couple of minutes to get started, let people join in who might be running late. You all are in the chat, you're all available, eligible to be in the chat. However, everyone here is in listen-only mode. So give us a bit and we will get started. All right, and I see Courtney Larson from AACC is in the chat as well, so she'll help monitor the chat. So if you do have any questions or any ideas or anything, just go ahead and drop them in the chat and we'll be happy to respond as we can. All right, we are gonna get started. So thank you for joining us. My name is Heather Johnson. I'm the Senior Director of Scholarships at Phi Theta Kappa, and I am really happy to welcome and introduce to you Ellen Hawes. Ellen is the Associate Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs with the American Association of Community Colleges, also known as AACC. She is the Principal Investigator on AACC's Advanced Technological Education grant from the National Science Foundation and lead of the National Community College Innovation Grant, lead of the National Community College Innovation Challenge designed to engage students in STEM innovation. Ellen, welcome, and thank you again for joining us this year.
Thank you, Heather, and a huge thank you to Phi Theta Kappa for hosting this webinar and helping us to promote the Community College Innovation Challenge. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. We're looking forward to this session and engaging with you. As Heather indicated, please input your questions into chat at any time. My associate, Courtney Larson, our ATE program manager at AACC, is in chat. And in addition to questions, this is also an idea vetting session. If you have ideas that you'd like to pitch to us, that you'd like to apply to the Community College Innovation Challenge with, please feel free. We have a National Science Foundation Program Director, a prior judge, a prior student finalist, and third place winning team member on this webinar. We're happy to share ideas and encourage you to apply. So let me introduce my colleagues. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. Celeste Carter, the lead ATE program director with the National Science Foundation, Elaf Mahmoud, who is a 2024 CCIC finalist, and as I said, third place winning team member from County College of Morris, and we'll hear from her on her team's innovation and some facts about why to apply from the student perspective shortly. And Annalisa Laurie, who was most recently a judge, but has been with the competition for a few years now, serving as a judge and also serving as a coach. There's a lot of coaching and technical assistance that goes along with this competition as well. So we will hear from all of them momentarily, but I just wanted to introduce them and welcome them and thank them for joining us today as well. I wanted to start by just doing a quick poll. I think we have this poll program just to see who's with us.
I think we do. Yeah,
all
give
right.
me a second and we'll see if we can go ahead and I'll launch the poll here. Tell me if y'all can see it.
I can see it.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
So we're trying to engage if we are talking with students, faculty, or administrators, or if there's another role you serve, please input into chat. Seems like the majority are students, which is our target audience.
That's wonderful.
So wonderful. And thank you to those faculty members and administrators that are on this webinar as well, as this work can't happen without your support either. So thank you.
All right, I'm going to end the poll now. Looks like everybody's had a chance to answer.
Yes.
There's the results. All right. I think you're good. You see the screen again now? Okay.
Yes,
great.
Thank you. All right, so I just wanted to give you a brief agenda of what we're going to cover today. We'll talk about the Community College Innovation Challenge, give you an overview, talk about the Innovation Boot Camp, which takes place June 9 through 12 here in Washington, D.C. We'll talk about how to apply, what you win, how we select the finalist teams. We'll give you a timeline, talk about some past innovations, and then hear from our speakers on why it's important to support student innovation, why you should apply to this challenge, and what makes for a winning idea. And as I said at the top, please put questions into chat or any ideas that you would like us to talk with you. We're really excited that you're here, and we're happy to address any questions and vet your ideas. To give you some background, So AACC, in partnership with the National Science Foundation, hosts the Community College Innovation Challenge. And this is a competition where teams of 2 to 4 students working with a faculty or an administrator team member use STEM to innovate solutions to real-world problems that they identify. Teams apply to the challenge, and we select up to 12 finalist teams to attend an innovation boot camp. And that boot camp is designed to provide professional development, mentoring, and coaching to build strategic communication and entrepreneurial skills to help our students advance their innovations. Students participate in sessions such as commercializing ideas, understanding value proposition, refining a pitch, and communicating with stakeholders. And we like to think that the competition is really designed to enable students to discover and demonstrate their capacity to use STEM to make a difference in the world and to translate that knowledge into action. So through the boot camp, teams have the opportunity to interact with one another. Most importantly, you have teams from across the country that interact with one another. They also engage with entrepreneurs, experts, and industry professionals. And the boot camp culminates in 2 capstone events: a poster session and reception that takes place on Capitol Hill with key congressional and STEM stakeholders, and a pitch competition, a little like Shark Tank, in front of a panel of judges, industry professionals, and entrepreneurs to determine the first, second, and third place winning teams. So what do you win? Besides bragging rights and a national recognition, we do give a plaque to each of the finalist schools, recognition certificates from the National Science Foundation and AACC for each finalist team member. But most importantly, we provide full travel support for all finalist team members, including the faculty or administrator mentor, to attend the Innovation Boot Camp in Washington, D.C. On top of that, we provide a modest honorarium for every finalist team member, a $500 cash honorarium, as we realize we're taking you out of your lives for a few days to really work and engage with us. And then additional cash awards are made to the first, second, and third place team members in the amount of $3,000 for first place team member, $2,000 for second place, and $1,000 for third place. I think more importantly than the cash awards is the level of engagement and the opportunity to network that the students receive. Basically, everyone, all the finalist teams are winners in that area. Just some examples of the stakeholder engagement in terms of meeting with congressional stakeholders, with STEM stakeholders, with entrepreneurs that we bring in. There's a lot of opportunity for engagement among the student teams. Just some examples from the National Student Poster Session and the boot camp itself. So how does this work? In the application phase, again, we have teams of 2 to 4 students with a faculty or administrator mentor apply to the CCIC. We encourage interdisciplinary teams. While the solution needs to be STEM-based, your team can certainly be interdisciplinary. Some of our strongest teams involve students from the STEM disciplines, as well as business and humanities and other fields that are encouraged. Student teams develop STEM solutions to real-world problems that they identify, and as part of that application process, they submit a written entry and a 90-second video addressing the problem. So you're providing some background and some context of the problem you've identified, your solution. So you're describing that solution and the science and technology that informs it, how it's different or innovative, and the impact and benefits on society, whether that is on the economy, the environment, quality of life, and a video to tell a compelling story and how the team's solution is innovative and unique in addressing the problem. On the challenge website, the URL is on the screen, www.aaccinnovationchallenge.com. We have a link to the finalist videos from the last 3 years, and you are also welcome to download competition guidelines and see the complete information and hosts of resources that are available there to you. I do want to stress that teams are not required to have already implemented their innovation. This is an ideation competition. It's wonderful if you have a working prototype, but that's not a requirement. This is really about sharing ideas for how the innovation would be implemented in a real-world scenario. And the CCIC is designed to get students to start thinking of themselves as entrepreneurs with a novel invention, creation, or product to bring to the marketplace. So from there, all of the entries are vetted and evaluated by a panel of AACC, NSF, and community college STEM experts. using the review criteria, which again is in detail on the challenge website, but they are in the areas of innovation impact. So they're looking at the proposed solutions use of STEM to address the problem and its potential to be transformative, whether it's in areas of the economy or quality of life or whatever impact to society that you are proposing, and then how it differs from existing efforts in its use of concepts, methods, or technology. They're looking at the feasibility of the project. So what's the likelihood that the solution would work as presented and that it could be replicated, and clarity of communication. There's a huge focus on communication in this competition. So this looks at the team's compliance with entry guidelines for the written video entries, organization of facts and data, and using clear and consistent messaging. So the review panel selects up to 12 finalist teams from the applications to attend the Innovation Bootcamp, again taking place June 9th through 12th here in Washington, D.C. And it is an expectation that all finalist team members would attend the boot camp, as that is where all the skills development and stakeholder engagement and networking occurs, and where the innovation poster session and the final pitch competition take place. Just to give you a sense of the timeline, and then I'll have somebody else talk besides me. The submissions are open now. They're due April 3rd. We will notify the finalist teams in late April of their acceptance to come to the boot camp. We will do a welcome and orientation webinar to the boot camp, so you'll be prepared and ready to come and work in June. We do have some exercises we ask the teams to do ahead of time. You would be preparing a poster for the poster session and also doing some customer discovery. So you'll learn all about that on May 9th. The boot camp itself, again, June 9th through 12. And at the end of the boot camp, we announce the first, second, and third place teams and hold a reception to culminate the 4 days. Before I turn it over, I do want to say, again, examples are on the website of some of the student innovations that have come before. Again, I think it's the last 3 years. We have the finalist team members, or you can read through the press releases of the articles and get a sense of what has been proposed and accepted. Just in the last year, the last competition alone, we had innovations focused on clean water, renewable energy, healthcare, disease prevention, fire prevention, and assistive technology devices. So with that, I'll stop at this moment, and I would love to turn it over to Celeste Carter with the National Science Foundation. So this has been a competition that actually started at NSF back in 2015 for why it's important to support student innovation and why NSF helps to promote this work. Celeste?
Oh, thank you, Ellen, and welcome everyone. And sorry, my voice is a little off today. I've got one of the bugs that's going around.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but hopefully I'm still in. You can still hear what I'm saying and understand it. But I would just say this is just a phenomenal opportunity. The program that I'm the lead on, the Advanced Technological Education Program, focuses on 2-year community and technical colleges, and we have a lot of people. Well, we don't have quite as many people right now, but we generally have AAAS fellows. Various people at the agency. And prior to the start of this innovation challenge, it was actually the AAAS fellows who said, there's a lot of competitions that are out there, but there really aren't any that we see that NSF is supporting that focus on 2-year institutions. And so they proposed and came up with this idea of developing the Community College Innovation Challenge, providing all of you students and even your administrators and possible mentors who are on, an opportunity to really think about things in terms of responding to what you see as a need in your region, nationally, maybe even globally, right? Maybe it's something about climate change. Obviously, Ellen mentioned fire prevention, and there have been other teams that have come up with things that would facilitate firemen and fire personnel being more safe as they are even fighting fires. So things like that. But the Innovation Boot Camp, I can't tell you how many students will say, this totally changed my life. This was transformative to me. So, it's an opportunity. Ellen said this, your pitch is a little bit like Shark Tank, but you get people, you get your judges from all different aspects of STEM, but also business and industry. You get venture capitalists listening to you, talking to you, moving you through this boot camp with the idea of, you have an idea, where is it going? Is it really feasible? What can you do to ensure that you can move forward, whether it's with your continuing with your team, whether it's moving out on your own. I know I saw one question is like, should we apply for patents before we apply to the CCIC? No, I think that's like a next step. It's like you've got to do your market analysis and all these other things to understand whether or not you have a project, an idea that would go forward. And so I would just really encourage you. We're here to listen to your ideas. If you have initial ideas now, please go on the website, check out what people have done in the past. Think about, there certainly is a wealth of ideas. I know there's a wealth of ideas out there amongst all of you about things that potentially you could change. And so I will stop there and turn it back over to Ellen, but we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Celeste. And certainly on the patent, we do have someone from the U.S. Patent Office that comes to the boot camp and talks specifically about that process and about intellectual property. And we do have teams that have filed for provisional patents following the boot camp. So it really is where you are in that stage of development. But it is not a requirement that you submit a patent ahead of coming, but it's certainly something we would encourage you to do as part of your innovation journey. And speaking of innovation journeys, I would love to ask Elif to come on and to speak with us, provide us a student perspective, share what their innovation was, and give her thoughts on why you all should apply for this competition. So Elif?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Ellen and Miss Carter. It was great talking to you at the event last year. And of course, Miss Lori. So, why apply? Why not? I'd like you have nothing to lose. Personally, I think one of the best things about this opportunity was the process, the journey, who you met, and who you took with you. So, you start off perfecting your abstract, worrying about your video. Oh, does this picture look better or this one? And stuff like that. And then you go through like an official process kind of, and it's kind of intense in the beginning. But then hopefully everybody here becomes a finalist. You get an email and you're all excited. Oh my God, we're going to DC and stuff like that. And then over there, it's the amount of things I've learned over there was unimaginable. Like it felt more like a boot camp where I gained so many skills rather than just a competition. Like it was a learning experience more than it was a competition. People there were so nice. You get to network. You get to put yourself out there. You work on your public speaking skills. You go to cool places. You know what I mean? And personally, I don't think there's any reason you shouldn't. And I've seen a lot of people like hesitate about mentors and team members. I think honestly, it's funny how we ended up like getting together. I was studying for my calculus 2 test in a study room with my friend, and he was like, "Oh, I've seen this competition. Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do this." And it was crazy how it ended us up at Washington DC together in the same hotel and stuff like that. So and when it came to our mentor, we because we really had our own drive and we had our own ideas. We didn't worry so much about our mentors, even though he did guide us a lot. But we kind of like took it upon ourselves to like push forward and like research what we need to do and stuff like that. Um, and what's it called? And for when it comes to team members, I think it's really important to choose wisely, but it's also even more important to have the team bonding skills. So even if you're not that close to a team member, it's really important, like see as a challenge, even if you guys don't agree on something, and learn how to cooperate, how to collaborate, and all these skills just come together and develop you personally and professionally. And there's the additional perk of putting on your resume, right? It looks cool on your resume. You get to talk about it personally. It gave me a sort of a passion project. Like, oh, so our idea, sorry, I forgot to introduce it. It's called liquid solar, and it is a solar alternative that uses a chemical instead of silicone, like the traditional solar panels. And I can until now I'm still working with County College of Mora's professors on like what the chemical is about, diving deeper into whether this will work for us or not. And like we're looking to making a prototype. And honestly, it gave me like a kind of a sense of purpose that's like really personal to me, and it's just all overall like such great memories.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I think, as you said, it's kind of becomes a passion project, or it's a personal piece that we find that a lot in innovations, that someone on the team is pick something that they're passionate about, that they're close to, and that does tend to aid you as you go through the competition that comes across in communication. But speaking of ideas and having a winning idea and expanding on that winning idea, I'd love to turn to Annalisa. She's been with the competition for what, 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
She started
I
with
can't
us.
keep track. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while, I guess, since COVID.
Exactly.
Yeah, you always have me go after the student, especially with Elif's excitement. I feel like it's hard to top that, so I'll try my best. But I have a few tips just now that after being a coach and having heard quite a few presentations and seeing the winning ideas, a lot of ideas, they come back every single year. So it's really about, your personal passion and connection to the idea. So tell us, as judges, how big is the problem, or how significant is it to you and your team in solving this issue? And I find the ones that do it the best, and incorporate storytelling. So walk us through an example, or if it's a personal experience that you've been through, or a team member or somebody close to you that has gone through that, whatever that challenge might be. We're talking about fire prevention. I know that's a very big top of mind issue right now in this country, and especially in California. And clearly communicating that and thoughtfully really well. I see that as a really good indicator that you have thought about it well, and are able to explain a solution to that problem. So, and then telling us, how is it different, your solution to the issue itself? What is it, realistic? Is it feasible? Um, and make sure it's always tied back to STEM. So it has to be realistic. Has to be, even if you don't have to be a STEM student, as I think Courtney's mentioning in the chat. A lot of people are asking about that. But obviously, if you did want to patent it, and if you did want to bring it to fruition and keep on this journey, I always tell people, once you get bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, you're going to keep going, whether it's this idea or something else. So once you have that mindset and you go through this experience, you will definitely probably want to keep going. So making sure that it's a solution that has science to back it up, and that you think about all the different stakeholders that are involved in implementing that and executing that solution, including your team and other people that would be involved. Those are all really good things for a formula to make it a winning idea.
Thank you, Annalisa. And to share a little insight that absolutely this needs to be grounded in solid science and technology. But I do want to make the distinction that the boot camp is not a science boot camp. The science and technology are vetted at the application stage. That's where we're pulling in our STEM experts to really look and see, is this a viable innovation? And then when you get to the boot camp, it's really kind of the next phase of that. It's learning how to communicate about that idea, doing customer discovery, learning about where you would potentially market that idea or how you would build that idea. And again, yes, the science needs to be solid, but it becomes communicating about the science without jargon to various stakeholders. And these are some of the skills you learn throughout the week. So we have had in in the past, those that come thinking this is a science and technology boot camp and then are kind of put out of their comfort zone when they're having a lot of strategic communication or business or entrepreneurial skills training. But that, I think, is where the real growth occurs. And I think, as Elaf said and Celeste talked about, students find that the experience of this is transformative, and the skills that are developed here go well beyond the innovation and can be taken on, whether it looks good on your resume, people have used it to leverage into internships, or college or graduate school applications, or even into employment. And we've had some that have leveraged this. I think we have a team from 2 years ago that leveraged this up. It morphed a little bit, and now they are on part of a team for the X Prize, which is a very large innovation competition. So there are lots of avenues. We like to think of this as a way to really just start to grow this for you, and hope that you get bit, as Annalisa said, by the entrepreneurial bug, and to continue to foster and develop that idea, or take those skills with you as you think about growing other ideas or starting your own business, wherever that may lead you in the STEM enterprise. With that being said, I know we've got some questions in chat, and I believe Heather has some questions that she could also direct to our speakers. I did want to mention our website, again, aaccinnovationchallenge.com. It will have this presentation, this recording. It has our guidelines. So there's a host of information on the website. And if you've got questions that don't get addressed in this webinar, we're going to do our best to address them now. Absolutely reach out to us, ccic@aacc.nche.edu. Courtney and I both staff that email, and we are happy to address any questions, or if you've got an idea you didn't want to share in chat or was too complex to share in chat, feel free to email us. We're happy to talk and engage with you and encourage you to apply. So that being said, Heather,
Wonderful.
I guess I will turn to you. I'm going to stop sharing, if that's okay, and make sure everybody's got that. And then that gives us a little bit, we can come full screen.
Yeah, what I was going to recommend is that link that you provided. I do see that Courtney Larson did include it in the chat.
Yes.
So, so students, if you're interested in anything, especially if it comes to eligibility criteria, I've seen a lot of eligibility questions go through, and I know we've covered some of them. We've covered the timeline and those kinds of things. So if you have a question about eligibility or timelines or any of that stuff, please go to the website. All of that is there. I believe when you begin the application, my guess is all of that criteria will be asked of you, and you can view it, I'm going to guess, before you even start. Is that correct? You can see all the,
yes.
Okay, good. So what I would encourage attendees to do is, if you have any ideas that you want to run by people here, or if you have questions about the actual application process, or things like that, use this as an opportunity for the people who are serving as judges, the other students who have done it before, the people who are the experts. Use this as an opportunity that if you have any questions that you want to ask the experts, put it in the chat. In the meantime, I do have some questions here. Elaf, I'd like to start with you, if you don't mind. So tell me a little bit more about how you went about assembling your team to apply for to the CCIC.
Yeah, so in a little bit more detail, we were studying together, Calculus 2, and then my friend, he came to me with the idea of applying to this competition, and he was like, why not? Let's try it out. And that's usually how great things begin. Why not, right? And then we were only 2 people, and in order to find I'm in engineering, that's my background, and his was more chemistry, but then he later transferred and he's doing chemical engineering now. And then we wanted someone who had hands-on skills with mechanical stuff, and we found our friend Aiden. So it was me, Malcolm, and Aiden. And then to find our mentor, Malcolm had a professor, Professor Wong, and he liked him a lot. And the Professor Wong was someone who was reliable and who could mentor us, and he was available to come with us. So Malcolm asked him, and then that's pretty much it. We started working together and coming up with the idea. It took us a while, I'm not going to lie. So don't let that intimidate you. It is certainly difficult, because it is an idea that you're going to be working on for a few months, researching, and it's very, very theoretical. As Ellen said, it's all like an ideation competition. So you have to foolproof something that is hugely underdeveloped, which can be very challenging. So it took us a while, but then I was talking to my cousin, and he was like, "Oh, I have this idea that I really wanted to work on, and it's this solar panel, but it's not traditional. It uses a chemical." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is great!" And then I told my Malcolm and Aiden, and that's how we started working on it.
And can you talk a little bit about your experience? Like, who did you identify as your mentor, and how did you go through that process to make sure that you're working well with your mentor, and just kind of that process of how you worked with that person, identified
Yeah.
and worked with that person.
Yeah, so Professor Wong, I didn't really know him. I didn't really have him as a professor until after the competition, actually. And it was more Malcolm. He chose Professor Wong, and I was like, okay, I trust you with this choice. Because we were mostly doing we didn't really, as long as our mentor was available, that's all that's kind of like our priority. Because we knew we were doing all the research and all the work. But his background in research, because he did his PhD,
Hmm.
that helped us, like, point, like he helped point us to PhD people, and he helped like give like guide us when it came to research and stuff.
Well, that's good.
So yeah, so it was mostly Malcolm's choice, so thank him for that.
So it does sound though that you all did a good job of like trying to find a mentor who aligned with some things that you were looking for help.
Exactly.
So that's great.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit more. How did participating in the boot camp impact the direction or focus of your STEM innovation and where you hope to take it?
So, going into the boot camp, I thought it was going to be science intensive, and that kind of was like I did so much science research and making sure the my idea was very scientifically foolproof, and you can't point a fault at it. But then when I went into the boot camp, I realized that this is also a business competition. Like, I need to convince the investor to give me his money, and I need entrepreneurial skills to do that. And I mostly thank the bootcamp for helping me develop those skills, because
Mm,
I didn't really have those. Malcolm had that knack of like pitching an idea and convincing you it's a very investable idea.
mm,
But me personally, I gained those from the boot camp. I talked to people, I listened to the lectures, I took a lot of notes. And then also beforehand, one of the requirements was to talk to people in the industry to make sure that your idea has a market. And that was
mm,
such
mhm,
a pivotal, like, it played a pivotal role in all of this. I talked to, so like, I had interviews with PhD students to make sure, who are working in renewable energy, to make sure that our innovation was addressing issues that are in the market right now, so that investors know that they are addressing a problem when they provide money for the solution.
mhm,
Um, so that played a huge role too in preparing us to pitch it as
mm.
an investable idea, kind of.
Yeah, that's cool. um, so,
Thank you.
how did participating in the CCIC impact you personally and in your academic or professional career?
So as I said, personally, it gave me a passion project. My cousin and I bonded over this project a lot, and we're still working on it with the professors, and it's currently my capstone project. A part of the honors program at County College of Morris, sorry. So it's my capstone project. I am making yet another poster about this project. That's personally, it's like my baby. And professionally, it definitely looked great in my resume, obviously. And I got to speak to, when I went back to County College of Morris, I got to speak to the director, the chair of the engineering department, and he's helping me out with like thinking of ideas to make this into an actual working prototype. And then I am currently like asking for advice from my professors and people did research, and my cousins and stuff, about patenting it, along with Malcolm and Aiden, of course, because it was our group project. Um, and so stuff like that. Personally, it's a passion project. Professionally, it looked great on my resume. It gave me so many skills that I still apply to this day. And honestly, public speaking skills that I am using right at this moment.
Pretty impactful. Thank you for telling us a little bit more about that and your experiences. I'm sure that we will have hopefully some PTK members who will follow behind you and submit some ideas and be able to participate in the competition as well. So thank you for that. I have some questions now for Celeste and Annalisa. Do you have any advice for teams as they start to develop their ideas?
Do you want to go, Celeste? Or I can go. Okay. So, I mean, just look how Elaf is so excited, right? So that was my other point. I was, to add that be energized and excited about your idea, because you are going to be, quote unquote, married to it for a while, at least, for the competition. And if you fall in love with it while you're doing it for the competition itself, and then you can continue on. Look, she's doing a capstone project. So I think your motivation, enthusiasm for the idea itself, and having, whether it's a personal connection or experience with that specific problem, and then you might not have the innovation per se on your own, but you find the team and the faculty mentor to help you really figure out what that innovation could be, and piecing together based off of competition and all of that. I think all of that's really, really important.
And I would pick up there and say also how Elaf mentioned this, how important it was to look at industry and see what's going on in the business world around your idea. What, it is, are companies out there actively working on a chemical solar panel? Where are they? What's new about your idea? How are you going to bring it forward? And I mean, we've just talked about solar panels because we have Elaf on, but I've had students at a biotechnology program, so I've had students doing things on multiply drug-resistant microorganisms, right? Pathogenic bacteria. People that were looking at, teams that ended up looking for new bacteriophages as a way to get around multiply drug-resistant bugs, all kinds of things. So I would say too, that enthusiasm is, and I know we hear this a lot, and I'm speaking as somebody who's sitting more towards the end of my career than at the beginning, where it's like, boy, students now, they have really, really strong ideas about the environment, about renewable energy, about climate change, about, you name it, healthcare. Find, that's what you want to look for. You want to look for one of those ideas that pops up in your mind where you go, this needs to happen. I would like to be part of making something around this particular issue. And I think when you do that, then you're gonna be able to find like-minded people to work with you on the team. And I think you'll also find plenty of mentors that will also be willing to help you and guide you through that. So I think those are some points I would push and say, please address these.
Wonderful, thank you. Can you share any lessons learned that you have seen come through the CCIC?
Well, actually, a lot of them. I mean, I've seen students that have started their own businesses based on the idea that they had, which is something I don't think, especially when you think about the focus of this. You're a student at a 2-year community and technical college. There's different things that you're thinking about as you're going through. Some of the students that are part of these teams are going to transfer to a 4-year institution, and they're going to continue that, but maybe keep up with that idea. But then there are teams that literally have gone out and said, man, we're going for this. This is something that's, we went through this innovation boot camp. It's doable. We're going to raise money, and we're actually going to start our own business. And that's happened as well. And seeing that, seeing the different pathways that all of you can take, and the fact that you also realize that you can overcome the challenges and barriers that you encounter. I think that's a big one, to me, is thinking about that, and thinking about the growth in really, it's not that, yeah, you can continue working on this, but when you think about what happens just in that 4-day boot camp, when you're here in DC, you made it as a finalist. 4 days, and believe me, it really, really changes you. So I think those are really important things to keep in mind.
Great, thank you. And just to piggyback off a little bit about advice for teams and for students, do you have any advice that you would have for faculty or administrators to help them to encourage students to get involved in undergraduate research experiences and opportunities such as CCIC?
Well, I think what Elaf said is one of the team members really liked a faculty member, right? And a lot of times that's a great initial approach, is to say, so and so who was teaching, whether it was, I don't know what the professor was, whether it was in calculus, whether it was in an engineering program, what chemical, chemistry, whatever, to feel that it's somebody that's approachable to you, and that you can go and talk about this whole event and say, we're looking for somebody that can help guide us. We're just starting on this. We think we have a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for that mentor that's really going to have the time to commit to our team and give us the help. But a lot of times it's just, hey, I really like, professor that I had in this class.
Yeah, no, that's great. I did also want to let the students know that they could always start with their Phi Theta Kappa advisor, and their Phi Theta Kappa advisor could also, since they're typically a faculty member, could point them in the direction of perhaps other professors or contacts on campus, or even industry contacts that might be good for their ideas. So I would suggest, if you don't know where to start, you could always start with your Phi Theta Kappa advisor and ask them for some people who might be a good suggestion for a mentor. Phi Theta Kappa also has some, we have our Research Edge, which is like it's part of our Competitive Edge program that teaches like soft skills and things like that. But we do have one that specifically focuses on undergraduate research. So there's an opportunity that our students can kind of like take some of those so that they can get started in this like idea of really getting into research and being focused on helping with researching your idea, like how do you do that? So we have some resources that students can take advantage of. You don't have to be a Phi Theta Kappa member to participate. I have seen a couple of ideas here that I want to share with you all while I've got you on here. But if anybody else has an idea, please drop it in the chat. I think the first one that I wanted to talk about a little bit is there is a person here who talks that their major is not in STEM. I know you talked about having interdisciplinary teams. I'm going to guess that the project itself needs to be STEM or at least STEM adjacent. Their product or their idea that they're working on is they're calling it Wall Street After Community College, and they're looking to design an international platform for students who are interested in business, accounting, and finance from two-year schools to provide mentorship, networking opportunities, and educational resources for students pursuing those careers. I don't know that I specifically see like a STEM element in that, but I don't know if like creating an app or like how, do you have any advice or ideas on where that student could take that idea, or thoughts on that? Or is that just a no?
Celeste, do you want to handle that?
Sure. So I would say, think about the fact that at the National Science Foundation, there is an actual directorate in social and behavioral sciences. And so
Okay.
when you think about developing a platform, though, in addition to that focus area, you're also going to be using STEM skills if you're developing a platform. So it's not as though you're not using science, technology, engineering, and math. It just may be that the focus of it is to get where you want to go. You're using STEM skills, and this is why you think this is so important. But think about the fact there's also that social and behavioral sciences directorate within NSF, and that's STEM.
I love that, because that answers this next one. It was a person who says they're interested in some ideas around reducing stigma with mental health and addiction. And so again, that would fit within that socio-behavioral science field. So it's really,
I would just
no, go
add
ahead.
to Celeste's point that all great ideas, but show us the data, show us the numbers, back it up. Why should I care as a judge about this problem that you're trying to solve? You're saying it's a problem, well, prove it to me and explain what is the disparity at community colleges about financial literacy or getting access to capital or mental health challenges what are the external issues that they're facing? What is some data reports that showcase how big of a problem that is? So that helps us understand the framework for your solution. Yeah.
And so, and just to confirm, this really is the idea challenge. There's no, like, having a prototype or anything like that isn't going to give you extra brownie points or anything like that, right? Because you're taking it to the point where you're getting the ideas, and then you're going to meet with the students at the boot camp, and that's where you help them develop those beyond that, correct?
Well, we give them the tools to think about where they would go next. So again, you do not need a working prototype. Some do. If you have a demonstration, I mean, that's where this video comes into play. Some have done it through PowerPoint or graphics. Some have had a rudimentary or working prototype that they've demonstrated. So something, but once you get to the boot camp, it is about your oral presentation skills and a poster. But certainly, if you've got something to help demonstrate your ideas, Annalisa said it is, showing the research behind why this is a problem, why there is a need to solve this, and then the data that supports the science underneath your innovation. There was something about mental health. We've had several innovations that have involved IT apps or platforms as a way to share information or to get at everything from testing for disease to helping students be more socially engaged on campus. Somebody identified that as an issue and put data behind it.
Very cool. So I'm just going to share some of these that people have listed. One of the ideas is she says, I own a nonprofit pig rescue. I'd like to do a study related to pig behavior and getting pigs accepted as medical alert service animals and as service animals for mental health, PTSD, ADHD, autism, etc. Interesting. Let's see. I see a lot of behavioral science things. I see people asking questions about, like, does developmental trauma fall under social and behavior science? Let's see. Wow, there's some here. There's some a neuromodulation device that facilitates remote brainwave entertainment. Brainwave entertainment can reduce anxiety, and with a device like this, could be very useful for hypnosis and calming the mind. It's an idea. I'm assuming any of these would be acceptable with going through the process of here's my idea, going through the research, finding out what's out there, and then what's now. Are you looking for them to actually have a product in mind, or you're looking for them to offer their solution as well, correct?
They are identifying a problem. So you need to demonstrate that there is a societal need in some regard of which your solution will address. There was one further up in the chat about addressing mold in the classroom.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
So it's doing research on that, how mold affects health, why you would have a solution, and then it's coming up with what your solution would consist of. And a lot of this is doing your research. What else is out there that would address this? How is yours unique or different, or how would you address some of the challenges? So you don't have to come up with something completely, utterly new, but it has to be why yours is different and unique and addressing that need.
I almost feel like with reading through these different ideas, that some are more developed than others, but by going through this process, and having these ideas, finding the mentors, researching, and then coming up with a solution, it seems like almost all of these are either STEM or STEM adjacent, or have some that would fit within these categories, that as long as you do the work would be viable ideas and solutions.
Yes, and I think it's important to distinguish that the solution is STEM based, whether it is an IT app or it is technology to improve solar panels. We've had smart recycling bins.
Got it.
We've had I'm trying to remember in those early days, we've had variations on aquaponic systems and making improvements on existing technologies. So again, you don't have to come up with the unicorn over here. It's really looking at what problems really inspire you, and then what idea you have to address that problem.
So
knowing that solution is based in STEM.
So with the, I do have a kind of and I'm not sure what your opinions are on this, but with the rise of AI, I'm seeing a lot of comments on here about, using AI to help identify a solution, or using AI. I think with that, it would need to be specific, and what are you hoping that AI would do for you? But I also see a question about whether or not using ChatGPT is against the rules of the competition. So do you have any comments on either AI as a tool, ChatGPT as a tool, using AI as part of your idea? Like, how do you view that new kind of technology?
Celeste, I can comment, but yeah.
Well, let's see. Within the guidelines for the National Science Foundation, you can actually use AI to generate a proposal, but you have to tell the reviewers and program officer that you did that. So that and there's issues with AI, right? There's AI hallucinations. So you don't want to just take it and say, oh, I'm going to use AI to generate my idea. It's around, think of your terms that you're going to put into this, into Chat GPT. It's interesting. We just had an entire session yesterday for people who are funded through the ATE program around using Chat GPT in a custom way to look at developing the kinds of skills and knowledge that a potential employer would be looking for in a different industry. So things that are called
Interesting.
ESAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities. People spend a lot of time, they would spend sometimes 3 to 4 days at an industry site to follow someone around and say, these are all the skills and knowledge that somebody in this position really needs to have. And then they generate a document like that. Well, you can do it in like 20 minutes if you're using the right terminology in Chat GPT. So I think there are definitely things that using AI and talking about how it would impact a specific industry. I mean, I think of one is the use of AI in coming up with new drug candidates, right?
Yeah.
That's huge. It's huge. Even looking at potential drugs and then saying in what might come out within clinical trials with whatever. So yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to think about using AI in all of these different areas. It definitely counts for. I think it would be they'd be really interesting projects to see.
And we have
Agreed.
had projects that have introduced a component of AI as part of their solution. Because that is, again, something you're going to have to think through the feasibility of how that would work, because that did, as Annalisa can talk about, draw a lot of questions from the judges of how that would be used effectively.
Yeah, no, and I was going to say it's a tool, right? And so you leverage it for your research, for your customer discovery, but at the end of the day, it's you talking in front of the panel of judges and you doing the presentation. And so, yeah, definitely don't forget about practicing your pitch a million times with your teammates and making sure you have all of your ducks in a row and your knowledge about the solution itself as well. So you don't mislead.
Wonderful.
No.
Well, thank you. We have about 5 minutes. I thought we could just conclude. Would each panelist like to provide one final piece of guidance or advice or support to encourage the Phi Theta Kappa members who might be interested in applying? Ellen, would you like to start?
Oh, certainly. Please apply. I do want to say there are a ton of questions and ideas in chat. I have saved it. Courtney and I will go through if we didn't address some of those specific questions, like, no, you don't need to be a member of PTK to be a part of this. Your mentor can be a faculty administrator. It could be someone that we've had lab managers come, but it really is someone that can be supportive to your team and can come and attend the boot camp. So some of those questions, or we can certainly go in a little bit more on the idea of vetting. But I think it's really take a look at the guidelines, reach out with any questions. Again, CCIC@aacc.nche.edu. I'll ask Courtney to put that into chat. Again, we're happy to engage with you. I've had back and forth with students where I don't even really know what they're pitching the science is well outside of my ability to discern, and that's where I will go to a Celeste Carter and say, Celeste, this student is pitching this in biotech, so we can give you some of that vetting before you apply, because when you do apply, it does go to those experts in those STEM disciplines. If you are putting in something in the energy field, I have somebody who is working in energy reading that proposal. So that's where the science and technology is vetted. But please do reach out with any questions as you go through this process. We just encourage you to definitely try. And I will turn it over to back to you.
Wonderful. And Elisa, do you have any other final comments or suggestions?
No, just go for it. Like, you have nothing to lose, as Ellen says. Find maybe take this as an opportunity to explore, some of your classmates or other people that you might be interested in collaborating with. And if you have an idea, and just, casually bring it up to your friend or colleague in class. And there's no reason that you shouldn't apply. Definitely.
I love it.
The
Yes,
experience.
Please do. I think that's great. Elaf, do you have any suggestions for students?
Yes, of course. Assuming please don't limit yourself, like apply, and assuming you're already in the process, like just enjoy the process. Learn how, make sure you hone your skills on how to write an abstract, make a video, like go through all the research, ask questions, be curious, and all that fun stuff. And just don't scare yourself away, because I try to do that sometimes. Get out of your comfort zone and talk to people. Definitely. That just applies not just to this competition, but in day to day, honestly.
Yeah, have faith in yourself. You can do it. Believe it. And Dr. Carter, do you have any final comments or suggestions or advice?
Sure. I think a big one is, which has really already been mentioned, network starting now. Don't wait. No, I used to do something in my classes where people got to take an exam twice. The first time it was closed book. The second time it was open book. They could call anyone they knew in the industry and ask a question. They could call family members. As Elaf said, she was talking to a cousin, right? Take advantage of it. It's amazing the connections you already have. Leverage them while you're thinking about this competition and your idea.
I love it. I love it. Well, with that, thank you so much again for joining us today, and to the Phi Theta Kappa members who joined in for the conversation, thank you for attending. I just want to remind everyone that this is being recorded, and we will go ahead, and anyone who registered for the webinar will get a copy of the recording. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining us. Have a good afternoon.